Hello and welcome to Note to File, a clinical research podcast.
A collection of interviews, candid commentary, and general nonsense for the clinical research community.
Check us out at notetofilepodcast.com.
And now, without further ado, on to the show.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another Note to File. Denali, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. How about you?
Good. We're just now getting unsnowed in here in Oklahoma. Schools are still canceled, closed, but you know. I'm going to welcome this new guy. Maybe you guys have heard of him. How's it going?
What
man?
up, guys? You guys got a great show. And that song was amazing, too.
It's all right. That's
I don't like all your music, I'm going to be honest, but like that one's good. I was kind of worried, like what it's going to be. That one is actually good. I had to like pay my taxes. I resonate with that one.
Wow, yeah, I was just recalling that, 1099s are all due,
Ooh, yeah, I got to
pretty
go
fast.
to
So
I got to go to the post office.
I know that's what I was getting.
Do you make former
gets away
employees?
from
You know how like we all have former employees, right? But like
nope,
some
not
of them
me,
you're still
never.
cool with. Like the majority, I'm still cool with. Right? Once in a while, like someone would just quit unexpected, or they were kind of like difficult to work with. Okay, for those ones, I'm gonna make them sign for their W-2s. Like, I'm gonna make you go to the post office and sign for this. So it's my like last payback.
No, I've had a couple reach out like for them. I'm not doing more work. So if I can just email them.
I
use Gusto for all like our HR
Yeah, we use
stuff.
Gusto too. But if you ask Darshan, you're not allowed to email them. So I don't know.
If you ask Darshan, you're not allowed to cross
You're
the
not allowed to
street,
breathe,
so,
man.
I know.
Shit with Darshan.
Yeah, if you work in clinical research, Darshan is right around the corner. So just watch
Wait,
out.
I forgot to
He's
stream
waiting
this
for
to
you
my
to do
audience.
something. Oh my gosh.
This
How
will be
dare you.
fun.
All right, go ahead and do that.
Shout out to Darshan. Yeah, I just had him on yesterday. Try to get him to talk about 483s, and we talked about scaring sites instead. But there we go. Now it's restreaming. So yeah, that's what I do. Like my little like evil side comes out. Like, oh, these people are kind of dicks. I'm gonna make them sign for their shit. Instead of getting it. Like
You send like a certified letter.
Yeah, like make it.
Yeah, so you have to sign for it. Like, you when you get a package in the mail and they make you sign, and if you're not there, you have to go pick it up. But like,
personally hate that shit. I got that one time. Okay, when I was growing up with my parents, I was in college, but we got one of these things in the mail, right? So my mom made me go to the post office to get it. I was like, all right, whatever. It was our next door neighbor sending us that shit.
What did you do? What did you do to piss them off?
I don't know. They would argue with my parents. No, they were Karens. These people were Karen. Everyone on the block hated them. But because we were next door, they would like beef with my mom all the time. So that's what they did for like cutting down some tree. They made me, and then I had to go. So I learned this trick from like a Karen.
So you're leaning in. I had one the other day where I had fraudulent postage used. So like I had ordered something on some website that was sus, and then they decided to mail it to me with fraudulent postage, and I had to go to the post office and pay for it.
Ooh, fraudulent. That does, when you get those government things you're supposed to send back, you can cut out those little prepaid stamps and use that to send somebody like a letter.
Huh. So you just keep recycling the stamps?
Yeah, maybe we're going green.
yeah, I guess that's true. Okay, I'm learning a lot about postal scams in this episode already. So.
Which technically is a federal level fraud because the United States Post there's a federal government. So
I did not do that. Sorry, Doge.
Hypothetically, we did
a lot of waste, fraud, and
could
abuse.
Do that.
Get Darshan on to ask him how much time you can expect to spend in jail.
Damn, that wasn't a dream.
It's all hypothetical.
Yeah.
What's exciting in clinical research right now, man? What's exciting to you?
There's not much exciting, but I actually talked with Denali about this when I had her on my pod, and I've been asking everyone, not even on air, just in life, like how long do you think well, two questions. How long until it's no longer fun to own a research site? And then how long until they're not needed? And I think, it's going to be less fun way before. It's still fun. And what fun is because there's margins, right? Like you still have margins. It's not all ubiquitous. But the more consolidation happens, the more private equity gets involved, the more like CROs buy sites or site networks become CRO, whatever. It becomes like a Domino's pizza franchise.
Yeah.
And I'm not the type to own a franchise, man. I don't think you.
No, yeah, it's not really my style. Well, and I was.
You're not a big Domino's fan?
I love the pizza, but I wouldn't own the franchise.
You don't want to own a franchise. No, I mean, I think that goes back like maybe, I don't know who was posting about it this morning, but like about site networks and how, I mean, didn't they kind of try this like 20 years ago? A bunch of them sold and they didn't really change like the face of clinical research. So like, what's the actual play right now with site networks and acquisition? Like, is it gonna just revert back like to
what was the impetus of it happening 20 years ago? Like what was
I don't know.
That was SMOs. That was just so they had it's the same idea, but now there's tech to like keep it all together.
Yeah, but even then, like, does that, I hear all these site networks, they all talk about scale and, I don't know. Look, yes, technology can help scale, but like at the end of the day, what we do is very much like human capital, right? It's people in front of people. You can't right now, there's not like virtual coordinators who can handle, a million studies at a time.
You don't have a cloud bot at your site?
No, dude. You can tell me all about that.
The Mac Minis. Well, that's coming. The coordinator thing's coming.
I mean, it could well be. I mean, we can't. Again, we haven't even. I wouldn't even call decentralized trials a success yet at this point, though. And then people were talking about the metaverse and all that shit. Like, I'm not so convinced it's happening like tomorrow or even in the very near future.
They were early, but in my opinion, the difference between that stuff, like those are elements of those things are still good. Like if you look at DCT, what came out of it, like we still have e-consents, right?
Sure.
Like, so there's elements of it that are going to be pieced together with these. AI is not going anywhere. It's only getting better. And to me, that's, for us, it's going to be the technology, the innovation of our lifetime, more so than the internet. So I do think it's going to impact everyone. Look at what they're doing with the CRAs now. Did you know that this is my article for Saturday, but did you know that it's no longer like in demand to have more than 3 years of experience if you want a job as a CRA at a CRO? Mm-hmm. The Goldilocks zone is 2 to 3 years. Job recruiters specifically posting on LinkedIn, do not apply if you have more than 3 years of experience.
Why?
Because they have to pay them too much and they don't know how to use like the tool. Supposedly, it's kind of ageism mixed with financial arbitrage. And that's happening at CRO. I don't know when that happens at the site because sites still have to deal with patients, which is like the only thing we have keeping us safe.
Yeah. And to your point, like for now, and again, maybe that will become, they can do more of that remotely or virtually or however you want to say it. But for now, at least, you can achieve some scale with your admin work in your back office, but like you really can't scale seeing patients because you requires a certain amount of people to do it. You can grow,
right?
And that's one thing.
And an AI can tell you like, hey, this person's out of window, but an AI can't tell you, hey, when the patient said that last time, did you hear like they're kind of thinking about withdrawing? Like the AI can't hear that, but the human intuition, empathy can pick that up. At least they should.
I was just reading an article about that this morning. The whole concept was like AI technology is going to help with progress, but that's not what's going to make it successful. It's like the core things, like the communication, the human relationships piece of it. That's actually what's going to make it successful. Which I don't know, seemed really obvious to me when I was reading the article, and I was like, why did someone have to write an article about this? Like, no shit. But I think there are some people who. Well, I mean, I clicked on it, and it worked.
Well, the P's are gonna try. All these companies are gonna try to squeeze margins. So if I can have a system instead of an extra person, I'll just have this system. And I think that's kind of what slowly is gonna make this less fun over the years. I think about shit like this a lot.
Well, I think it comes back to like Brad, you mentioned like you can grow, but scaling is different. And like you can grow, but your margins don't necessarily change when you grow because you're growing with volume, you're growing with patients you're seeing. You still have to see the patients. You can't necessarily like add like I don't know, expedite that by being bigger. You still have to see more patients. And that's not where you get great margins. And so I think there's gonna be a cap at some level unless someone figures out a way to do that. But I don't know if I see it.
Yeah, no,
Well,
that's the difference between growth and scale, right? Scale is creating more profit without creating more costs. And again, I feel like to your point, there's like a limit to that when it comes to the site game, so to speak, which is why I wonder, like, what's the end game here with like, how much scale are these networks getting?
they want to streamline everything from what it seems. And they are, I mean, it's like for society, it's good, but
go to Glassdoor and I do this because, I'm always
you love
curious. Like
that
go to
shit.
Glassdoor and look at some of these site networks and what the employees like who work there say. Like they sound, and again, yes, take every caveat of like the people who go there, people who want to complain, blah, 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 whatever. But they don't exactly paint a picture of like great efficiency and great places to work, And again, who cares if they're making money? Who cares if employees like it? But again, stuff starts to make me more skeptical than, of course, you can't believe what every press release says, but
yeah, no. I'm an optimist, man, but I think about this shit way too much.
Well, I'm a hater. All right.
You're an optimistic hater.
Yeah, essentially. I'm not pessimistic. And again, I guess to go back to your original point, like, look, independent sites are still winning trial opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And they're still, I think independent sites, again, I don't have any data. Seems like they're still growing, existing.
But if you notice though, like even you've been a site owner, what, like 7 years now? You've been a while.
About that.
So like 7 years ago, and I remember like 20 years ago, like the benchmarks, and this is a good thing, I'm just complaining, but the benchmark used to be like, hey, every 5 days enter data. Now it's every 3 days. When we had paper CRFs, I'm that old, like you didn't have a standard. You just had to have the paper CRF filled before your monitor came to rip them.
Right, yeah.
But now it's going to like every 3 days. Oh, no, you can't do every 3 days? Well, I don't know. Sponsor such and such expects that you do it every 3 days. Or answering SUSARs, every 1 day, 24-hour. That's because site networks are streamlining that. So it's not that that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Are they streamlining it, or are they just making promises they can't keep?
Well, probably both, but I do think they are able to pull these things off. Like the more you automate and streamline compartments within your site. So if you I used to hire a generalist, I still do. I think that's old school. I think it makes less sense financially to do that. I think you'll need some generalists, but like it's much better. You just do admin, you do EDC, like you do recruitment, as opposed to like I used to just hire, hey, you're gonna do all these things. And that's bad for individuals' careers. I think that's bad for margins. I think that's good for eventual like benchmarks and metrics. But there's a lot, and for society maybe, but if it costs more, it's not gonna be better. So as a site owner, it's not good. You gotta continue to get better and drop costs.
To your point too, like where, I'm with you that like if this isn't like fun, it's not really worth doing, like
I think more people should take that approach to life, period.
Well, that would be nice, I know what you don't want to do, because I'm with you. I'm in the process of doing the same thing, and not unlike you, I really appreciated like a more generalist approach. Now I'm trying to like get a little bit more specialized with the roles that we have. And at some point, of course, there's like a middle ground, but like at some point, you don't want it to be like it's a factory at that point, right? You've just got like send them down the line, and each person does their one thing, and then
not to mention it's bad for
the fun out of it.
it's bad for their career prospects. Like I knew some sites, they still operate. Site CRO, they do a lot of phase one. I don't want to name them. They would put their employees to do just certain tasks, and that was their moat for CRC turnover, because everybody knew at this place the CRCs don't really know much. They just know like one task, and it's not translatable for what we need. So it's like a perfect retention
Well,
mode.
I've hired people like that where like they got 10 years of CRC experience, but then you're like, oh, but you don't know how to do like 80% of this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we hire folks out of sites on the Viva side of things, and it's the same thing where it's like not all CRCs are created equal. Like just because you had a title, it's like that could mean so many things across the board. So it's not super indicative of what they actually know.
Yeah, and that's even beyond just like personality types. It's just like what you actually did
Right.
at your site versus what someone else did, maybe even with the same title.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I think that's where it's headed. I
been
think everything's headed that way.
just towards like pure
Hyper
specialization
specialization.
to the point.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess again, if you're trying to squeeze, you know, your margins, I mean, you can go back to the concept of, I mean, you've read that E-Myth book, right? It's all about like
Yeah,
the process and not like the people. Like you should be able to basically plug any moron in who can follow instructions and they can take up the job and succeed at it. And that sounds a bit rude, but and like again, I think that kind of goes against the idea of like, to me at least, wanting to like have fun, grow people, do something worth doing versus just like, I want to make money, so let me make this as much of a process. That takes all the fun out of it to me. But there's a line, right? You can't just be willy-nilly do anything.
Well, back in the day, you could willy-nilly do almost anything. I started this in 2005, and there's things I will never speak about what we did, but I had no training, so I'll just preface it with that. But yeah, these days I would be banned from the industry, you know. But back then, everyone's like, "Oh, well, that's how you're gonna learn." You know, you have to experiment, and the fact that that's not around is good and bad. Like, there's good and bad to that, but I don't know if the good outweighs the bad at the end of the day. Like, what we're doing is trying to make cheaper treatments for patients, more accessible treatments, and you know, that part is kind of out of our control as far as the cost, because if the cost just shift from sites to tech vendors, like what does that actually do for the patient? Someone's still paying for all that shit.
Yeah, that's
sorry to be depressing, man. That's just like the kind of shit I've been thinking about.
No, it's good. I think I mean, you're not wrong to think that way, I think. And you've been doing
Let's hope
a lot
like,
longer than I
let's
have
hope
too.
They fuck up. Let's hope the private equities fuck up the site networks. Do you think
I have a hard time seeing, again, what's their end game here. Like, do they want to indefinitely run the site business? Because or do they want to dump it off onto somebody?
They want to dump it off. It's like all this stuff is to return money. Like if a site network, if a PE buys something, they want a 7x return, 10x return. That means somebody else has to buy it. Like maybe CRO. That's been the exit strategy, right? CROs have been buying site networks. IKEA like 2 years ago bought 300 million for like 12 sites. That was crazy.
That's true. And I mean, I knew that group. They weren't necessarily the biggest site network. I mean, they were relatively small and they were heavy vaccine. But I don't know. Velocity has been on the market for like 2 years, according to some articles that I've seen. So like, who's not? I mean, you would think they've achieved enough scale at this point to be, if that's possible, to be sold.
I don't know. I mean, I have yet to be convinced otherwise, that like the entire play of equity, VC, and PE into the network space was based on a really solid projection. I think they got projections that looked really good on paper that people put out there, and they said, hey, this could be the return. But it's way messier than that when you put equity into any sort of healthcare delivery system. And so I think that they overshot, and I think they're looking for a return that is not necessarily what they're going to get. And so like, I think we're seeing that stretched out, but I don't see a great exit plan at the multiples that they're going to look for, because I don't think they invested based on a realistic outlook. And I haven't heard anything to convince me otherwise. So I would love if
Invested in
someone actually
scale.
has some solid data on this. I would love to hear it, but I have not seen it. So
Well, it's like Prisoner's Dilemma. Like the P's compete against each other too. So like if you pay X amount of dollars for a site network, that means there's a market. We got to do it too. And if you're not
yep.
doing it, your funders are saying, well, why are we investing with you when we can get exposure here? So everyone kind of does this. This is how bubbles form.
Mm-hmm.
And bubbles do pop at some point. Although I don't know if this one's going to pop. I think this one AI is going to kind of co-pilot it
I could see
somehow.
that where like you start getting some efficiencies through AI to like, and then you sell based on that to
Yeah,
someone
or the
to,
site networks
to someone else who's more gullible
taking
than you.
the greater fool theory, or becoming CROs. Like they're not going to
Mhm.
say it, but they're
You
doing
take on more of it.
CRO-ish work,
I
and
mean,
then
you
the
see
lines
that.
blur.
I think that's right. And I mean, you see the same thing on the tech side where you see folks take down equity under this business model and that doesn't work. So they completely pivot. And so they to like try to get their equity back. And so they're
Right.
constantly shifting what they're offering.
Yeah.
And then so I mean like that's the only way I see the coming out of this. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
So I'm prepared to be a site owner for like 5 years. I don't know after that.
I was
I'll
going to
be happy
say,
if I can milk it longer. I'll milk it as long as I can, as long as I'm having fun. But I think 5 years is like kind of realistic. I think the way
What's the
things
most
are moving.
thing what's the most fun thing about being a site owner for you?
Just the freedom. Like I can take somebody who knows nothing about research, just I could see the potential and have them have a great career, like even beyond me. And then as far as fun, getting doctors interested in the community, seeing them put their patients in, seeing their patients understand, hey, this is an option like in a place like Yuma we would have never had. And then the fun for me personally, like that's the business fun, the fun, and then seeing like what levers I can pull or what levers I can create to like increase the speed of the flywheel. Like if I do a podcast with this group, are we going to get a bunch of views and then get patients like from some unexpected place? We can expand. Like that's all business fun. And then personal fun is I can control my own schedule. If I don't like something, I can fix it. Like I have agency over my outcomes, at least as much as I can control. So that's always been fun for me, which is why I started with I don't want this to turn into a franchise business because
Yeah, you
they
lose that.
tell you, no, that's not acceptable, Dan. Like, why are you doing all these podcasts? We can't have that.
that's
Yeah.
not, where's the ROI?
Yeah.
Isn't that what you said like when you first started doing it? They were like, "Oh, don't do the podcast."
They said Pfizer would sue me in 2010. I
Here
was like,
we
okay, I don't get it. What if I don't mention Pfizer? They're like, no,
Well, you
somebody's gonna
mentioned them
sue
now.
you.
It took you 10 years, but you slipped up.
Oh, I love
They
Pfizer.
got you. All right. All is forgiven.
I've actually only done like 2 studies with Pfizer in my life.
They're
Geodon,
not they're not particularly
schizophrenia.
easy to work with.
Nah, I don't think their budgets are very good from what I hear either. Shout out to Pfizer if you want to.
What's up, Pfizer? Give us all your
Love you
studies.
guys.
So I mean, so what do you think independent sites should be trying to sort of like load their books up like over the next few years if they want to?
I think independent sites need to figure out why a sponsor would give them like grade them on a curve. Because let's assume, all right, we have to assume the site networks have enough money to figure out how to improve everything by at least one order of magnitude. Like speed of data entry, speed of query resolution, deviation minimization. Okay, maybe they don't improve the recruitment because that's way more complicated and nuanced. But what's the one thing or the few things where they can't improve? Maybe like an underserved market, going in more like rural areas. If I were a site owner right now, which I am, I would start looking at how do I expand not just therapeutic area, but go in a place where there
You
is no
niche
site
down.
network present. Niche
Right,
down
right.
or, go like further out. Um, there's so many rural places. They're not even rural. Like Yuma's not rural. Has an airport. It's got 200,000 people, but no one's ever done research here. How many Yumas are in the country? I would
Yeah.
guess a
Yeah.
shitload.
Yeah. Well, I think that's I don't know. That's part of like the opportunity or the fun is that again, there's like so much green space like to do this, and you don't need to be some like mammoth site network to like do well and have an impact. Like you can do it at a relatively small local scale. And yeah, to your point, I mean, I feel like that's gonna, I don't know, I feel like that's gonna
But that's my
exist for a
fun
little
though.
while.
Like it doesn't mean that someone else's fun either. Like there's some people who like
But how many
going into a new
coordinators
country.
come up or like want to do this? I mean, it's still. Do you think interest has been higher or lower in terms of like CRC starting their own sites and whatnot, or even CRAs or
Um,
anyone?
I think lately it's been lower
Yeah.
because they're being compartmentalized, so they don't see the full picture. That's
Mm.
another thing. Like we're
Mm.
kind of crushing the entrepreneurial spirit, or maybe we're attracting the wrong kind of entrepreneurs because we're creating a market where we're attracting people to get that bag,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like a coordinator who's a generalist that can do this when they move. And then they move and they're like, yeah, or I'm not going to move because there's no site there and I'm not going to be able to get a job.
Do you think it's similar though to like a cook trying to open a restaurant and you can be like a phenomenal cook, but like owning a restaurant and operating a business is different than just being a good cook, or is that less applicable here?
No, I think it's a good comparison if that cook worked at a restaurant where they're doing more than cooking, like if they were given exposure to
If they
running the
started like
business,
taking up on some of it. Okay.
and that's actually
Interesting.
disappearing.
Yeah.
I'm doing it to some of my staff, but with minimal real benefits to me other than I enjoy doing it. But it's much better off if I just compartmentalize everyone, and we're probably headed in that direction just because the industry is forcing you to.
Well, I also think there's a benefit too. Like, I don't know, I would argue there are very few people who are unicorns in the fact that they can be generalists successfully in everything, where like data entry and patient care and recruitment, they all kind of have different skill sets, right? So like, is it fair to say you'd want to focus people on where they like are strongest naturally or not?
So, as the scariest part to me is this: where AI will take us, generalists will be in huge demand. Where AI is currently going, it's forcing everyone to be a specialist initially, and then they'll get replaced. So there's gonna be like this donut, in my opinion, between this and the other side of this, where the AI is so autonomous that you need creativity, you need judgment, you need a taste for like what's beautiful, what's aesthetic, which is generalist kind of things, versus, hey, get this patient, in the EDC or put them in the database. Like all that stuff's gonna be gone. So we're gonna have this like gap. And I think a lot of people, maybe Gen Z, they're gonna have to figure things out really quickly, the way I'm seeing it.
Hmm.
And they don't have like a lot don't have this motivation. Elon Musk even said,
Kids
like,
these days.
kids these days, there's no work as we know it will not be needed. Like, what does that even mean? We need to go back to like philosophy or the arts.
I don't know, man. I've
Yes.
seen some pretty good AI art recently, so
No,
Shit.
no, you haven't.
I think people always want human content, even though AI content's going to be like all over the place. It already is. But I haven't watched the AI podcast yet, other than like the curiosity factor, but not like on a regular basis. So I think humans will always seek out other humans.
For sure. I mean, do you think we'll be particularly slow as an industry to pick it up though? How many sites still use paper?
Well, that's good. I
If
mean,
we're using
yeah,
paper, then it makes it real hard to
but
do
that's
much with AI,
decreasing. Like that's decreasingly the case. I know there's an argument for paper and this fraud stuff from Miami. I mean, that's just.
Yeah.
I've had CRAs tell me like we actually, if we see a site using paper, we think fraud by default,
I
even though they
mean,
don't.
yeah. I could see that. I mean, I think it was even Chris. I think I've stole his line before who said like the best reason to use paper is because you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, I'm
Right
paraphrasing
there.
obviously, but
How easy is it to shred something versus on Creo or on Viva
any
to
date,
delete?
you can say any time and date anything happened versus time stamped,
Right.
e-source or whatever.
Right.
Well, and also, yeah, like deleting something versus permanently deleting something versus like, I don't know,
I've
when on the
tried
internet, it's there.
permanently deleting something on Creo, and they don't let you. You have to like fill out all these forms, and they're like, no, we'll just leave
think
it
about it.
here. But yeah. But the shredder is right there. I mean, that's very appealing.
Gonna fire
Yeah, but
barrel
also,
out back.
but also, can AI be? I mean, presumably, I could also use AI to create. I mean, what if I wanted to create some images, some imaging that didn't exist? I could use AI to do that, right?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Okay, great. You have your permission, so
Miami,
on.
you just opened up a whole new business stream in Miami.
Right.
People are taking notes.
Oh,
Say
no.
that again, Brad. What was that again?
I mean, I don't know why you couldn't falsify medical records. You couldn't create imaging. You couldn't do almost anything with AI that is going to look legit, especially right now where like
Right.
you're relying on a CRA's eyeballs to catch it. Again, I'm not condoning any of this. Like, obviously, don't do that. But I'm saying, like, what's
the risk?
keeping that from happening?
Well, then you open up the market where you then have the other side where you're going to start looking. It's like people started using AI to write papers for college, and they started developing things to detect AI in papers. Same thing, right? Like you're just going to see it track and follow. So there'll be windows where it's more vulnerable. They'll come up with something to combat it. It will evolve.
Well, hopefully the individuals realize that they still have to exercise all their cognitive muscles as far as like, oh yeah, you can automate tasks. That's cool. But like, what are you doing to actually learn or get better at your job or get better at your career? Because jobs are kind of going to be, or tasks at least, will be replaced by systems. So how do you actually level up in a age where everything's like is done for you? Like, who can drive without GPS anymore in their own cities?
Yeah.
And that's driving, not even automated driving, just regular driving.
To be fair, some of us couldn't drive before GPS. We just had MapQuest instructions.
The Thomas Guide, remember that?
Everyone had like the atlas under their seats.
I mean, we got individuals need to figure this out too. If you start treating your career like your own your own business, I think people would think differently about their jobs.
Well, you're the captain of your own ship, and so many people don't go by that statement. They expect other people to do things for them or come up with what they should be doing instead of driving their own success.
Yeah, and then look what happens. Okay, we'll come up with great ways, great plans. Here we are, and it's every industry. It's not just ours, but I think this is one of the first times where there won't be a huge lag between other industries and ours, because you get the same money people involved in multiple things.
Yeah, well, and it looks like there's right now at least a push for like a little more deregulation than there has been previously as well, which will certainly help, I guess, if help is the right word, if that's what you want to happen. But
and then how much longer before, I was talking with Denali about this on my pod, in silica trials, like what's the gap between now and your digital twin? Is it 20 years? Is it 10? Is it 30? Is it 100? I mean, I don't think it's that long. So sites are not going to be needed pretty soon. And do you think sponsors love being site-centric? Like,
they didn't have to be.
Is that? Like, we have to, because, okay, you guys are the bottleneck. We are the bottleneck.
Yeah, essentially.
And it's fun to be the bottleneck.
Wait on me, fucker.
But now it's going to be less fun because people are trying to declog it, for better or for worse.
So, but the question I have, or I'm still not sold on it, is like the digital twin concept is like all of this requires solid data, and our industry has shit data, right? Like we have not, like even like,
you mean like
this morning. Well, just like not representative. Like we have like the data we have is not representative of the populations we're trying to teach or like to treat. So
I saw your post today on the
this morning, like women's cells were not used in preclinical research because hormone, like if you like read into it, it's like because they thought the hormones that potentially be present would make things too complicated, and it was like the fuck they are, like that's in my body. Like, oh, fuck you.
They figured it out at the cellular level. It's true.
It's too complicated, but it's like that's in my body. So how are you going to say like the drugs that you're going to put to like it's too complicated for us to look at this. Don't worry, just put it in your body later. And it's just like, it's just what? So like if we're using this data, right? Like data from decades and decades, we know this is not representative. And again, like you're looking at, I'm just using like historic landmarks. For 93 is when women were required to be in trials. 2014 is when their cells were in preclinical. Look at all of the other like groups and other representations that are not represented in the data appropriately. And then now we're trying to build models off of that data. It just is fundamentally flawed.
No, I think they will get that right before in silico. They're gonna have
we'll have to.
Sure.
To be your digital twin and like an accurate digital twin of you.
Got a white man digital twin. Gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean currently, yeah, with the data now, but I think that so maybe we are the bridge to get there. Then the site, so maybe we could be a site for like 20 more years. I don't know what's in.
I'm gonna learn how to paint just in case.
Yeah, learn how. Well, you already are a musician, an artist.
There you go. See, perfect. I just need my guitar in a street corner.
I don't have shit. I just got to learn how to slang these basketball cards, man. I picked up some super flags. Black Parallel from Target. Like I'll just start doing shit like that.
I mean, that's just taking it back off again. I was super into baseball cards when I was a kid, and I know all this stuff's coming back around.
Well, they oversupplied that like crazy, but now they're doing like crazy parallels, like 1 of 1.
Oh yeah.
It's insane. But yeah,
I'm just waiting for my Beanie Baby collection to take off.
Ooh, those are gonna come back.
It's gonna be worth some real money.
How many do you have? You have a bunch?
I don't even know. They're at my folks' house in a box somewhere. I mean, I didn't have like you went through the whole thing, like the teeny beanies from McDonald's and like that whole craze, and like the Princess Diana bear was gonna like pay for your retirement. I never got that.
Well, you'll be good. You work for Viva. They're not going anywhere. If I had to bet on Viva versus small sites, who survives longer, I'll put like all my net worth on Viva.
Well, we're diversified a bit more.
It's just interesting times. I mean, as long as you're still having fun, I do worry about new people getting in. Although, you know what's the crazy thing about this CRO mandate of like, at least it appears to be like 2 to 3 years of experience, is they're more likely to hire someone with coordinating experience and no CRA experience than they are a 5-year senior CRA. So you can get a lot of people who've been wanting to be CRAs who weren't given the opportunity a chance because of these tools. But so there's trade-offs.
I mean, is there a supply problem? Like, are there not enough people who want to be CRAs now?
No, there's plenty of people who want to be CRAs.
Yeah.
And there are actually plenty of CRAs that want to be CRAs right now. Like I feel bad for them. A lot of them can have jobs at site networks. A lot of those people supposed to open their own sites if they go to like a community where it will be relatively easy to not compete. But I don't know if CRAs are actually generalists in that regard. I think the coordinators are generalists.
Yeah.
Or at least used to be.
Well, yeah, at least, yeah, I feel like there's definitely it's definitely probably tougher to start a site as a CRA than as a CRC, regardless, just because
they have
what you've been exposed to.
We know several like clients now, they don't want to come on camera. I keep asking them, but they started out as CRAs. They never quit their job. And because of tools like Viva and Creo, they were actually able to keep their day job while running a site, which would have never been possible prior to these tools. And then, 3 years into it, they quit their monitoring job because that's brutal. And then they became site owners because it's still fun.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm still surprised the CRA role hasn't changed more. Like we still have, I don't know, you guys, I mean, we still have CRAs on site all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You were going back earlier to talking about how like, we're seeing a shift or like maybe as an example, data entry requirements are becoming more stringent. And now like with eSource and some of the systems in place, like you can essentially have a never ending access to site data and EDC. Like it's like a monitor visit that never ends because there's constant access.
Yeah. We give them all constant access to Creo. Anecdotally,
I know it feels like such a double-edged sword though, depending on who you're, because then First of all, I mean, we like to bill for a monitor visit. If you got
Yeah,
constant access, your monitor visit never ends.
Well,
Could
yeah, I
never
mean,
end. They could
you still
access it at any
bill
time.
you still bill for the official monitoring visit, and if they abuse it, we turn it off.
Yeah.
I'll
That's
turn it off.
makes sense.
that's fair. Requires a level of oversight at least to kind of pay attention. But even then, I haven't really seen that utilized like with any very meaningfully. We're still seeing like a here's your monitor visit, here's your letter. Still going to come on site, even though we have access to everything there is to have access to. We're still going to come on site for some reason.
Billable hours. That's
I
still the
know, but
paradigm being used by the CROs.
no, but like, is that how was that? That
It's
seems to be
not
like one of
good.
the first things that would go though, because
is gonna go.
it's so costly.
It's gonna go.
Yeah,
That's
the
why
margins
the,
on on
that's
someone's
why the
travel
senior
time are not there.
CRAs are going. The senior CRAs are leaving CROs. They're getting laid off. They're going to sponsors. Anecdotally, are you seeing more sponsor CRAs at your site?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Host you, and they're
We've
better.
also just, yeah. I mean, I think so. And we
They're
had,
happier. Anecdotally, I mean,
yeah,
you
of course.
I mean, we
Well,
kind of
not
went
doing
through
a
that like with
clinical trial on them.
a shift in CRO models where it goes from full service to FSP, right? So like they're going to be
Right.
like I think it's just sort of the swing we're in.
Yeah, I think the smaller sponsors with these tools, they're learning that hey, they can probably do some of these things without the CRO, or at least keep the CRO in check. I've been a part of some bid defenses as a CRO member. Like for a while, Chris and I and Rob Goldman had a very niche CRO, like very boutique. We would do pilot studies, but after a couple of pilot studies, you would get offered to like a slightly bigger study just to compete. They probably were never going to select us, but just to submit your bid. Dude, they squeezed the hell out of every line item. They're like, is there any room on this? Any room on this? So the other ones do this. Is there any room? So the fun is out of that thing a long time ago.
Mhm.
You know, that's become a commodity. And that I fear at some point sites might go that route.
Just getting squeezed so much that
Yeah, can you do this?
yeah,
Can you
yeah,
what
yeah.
about okay, 2 weeks activation, can you do 1 week?
Yeah.
You know, okay. Can you do like no payments for screen failures?
Well, yeah. I mean, we see sponsors try to do that. I mean, I've also seen a lot more. I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of small sponsors lately coming through.
Yes.
I know this is a conversation we have. And you have a particular interest in the small sponsors.
Yeah, I love it.
But I've seen a lot, and again, them trying to do it themselves, which is it's both fun and frustrating as hell because oftentimes you're teaching them, like as the site, like, hey, no, that's not how you do it. Come on.
But after seeing enough shit like this Miami thing, right?
Mhm.
Where you're paying a CRO, the professionals, like they're wearing suits and shit, to like not fuck up your study, and then you see what they do. You're like, I think Mary J. Blige had a song, "I Could Do Bad by Myself."
Yeah,
Yeah, like
that's
I
a good
got the
pull,
tools.
Mary J. Blige.
Yeah, I try to throw that one in there all the time.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
mean,
a good
wouldn't you
point.
like? You could save some money. Look at Viva, and I'm sure Viva can offer support to the small sponsors. And
Oh yeah, we have a whole basic suite of technology. It's all there's I don't know, supposed to be super non-configurable, easy to use, plug and play.
you see, and if you had an issue like, hey, I'm not sure how this pertains to my situation, for someone from Vivo will help, and then
Yep.
someone from Creo, and pretty soon you're like, well, I'll hire some independent monitors. We'll hire some SWAT teams if we get into some shit. So I do think also we're gonna enter a freelance contractor renaissance.
I can see that.
And there's a market. Tech vendors, CROs that are in trouble, small sponsors in trouble, maybe big sponsors, and then site networks. Site networks are hiring some of these senior CRAs.
For what?
QA.
Mhm.
And then when a sponsor says, well, we like you, such and such, but you have a good American footprint, but what about LATAM? And then they start opening sites, in Mexico. And I can guarantee you it's not for the pesos. Guarantee. That's not why they're doing that. Those
No?
private equity didn't invest to make pesos, return their dollars for pesos. So there's a strategic vertical integration happening that they won't admit. And then tech too. They're trying to do their own tech. And with
Yeah.
Claude Code, I mean, I know you work at Viva, and I don't think the Viva architecture can ever be replaced. But if you're a smaller startup that's a tech vendor, like how much time before anyone can just vibe code a solution that you offer that they don't really have to pay for?
I think it's the creating of the technology is not the hard part.
It's the
In my
regulatory,
mind.
right?
It's also the maintenance of it, and like you can like you see this with like, and I think it's different. If you're a tech vendor and you are a software company, like you should understand what it means to be a software company, and you're going to have release cycles and QA, and and then if you go to commercial to market, how are you marketing it? What's your commercial like ramps, and how are you doing all of that? But I think what we see is you have small folks who are saying, "Oh, I could do this," and they do it, and it works well for their site, and they're like, "This is working really well. I'm going to sell it." And again, it's like Cook owning a restaurant. It's like you had it. Selling this is very different than like being really good at making brownies and being like, I'm going to be a bakery. Like it's a little bit different. So I mean, I think there's certainly folks that can, especially if they are tech companies. Like I think AI and tools like that do make it a lot more accessible for those small vendors to be impactful. But I think I'm biased. I think tech vendors are necessary. I think people trying to be tech vendors that aren't run into problems.
You've got established ones like Viva that Eli Lilly is not looking for a bargain, right? They want something that's trustworthy. They know if they get audited, the FDA is not going to find issues with their tech vendor. Like
right.
They'll pay a premium for that, but for the other ones, they're like, oh, this is my YOLO drug. Like, let's see what happens. You know? Right. Or the site networks. What if the site networks start collaborating with biotechs somehow with small sponsors on CRO work?
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, and I've wondered too, because I don't have a lot of, I don't know about you, but like I almost never talk to people, these huge site networks. Like I never come across people who work for them hardly, even though they're like huge.
They come to SOS. Some of them, the cool ones come to SOS.
That's true.
The other ones go to the other ones. I don't know
what is the ROI on sending your employees to conferences? Unless you're a leader,
they could be recruited and poached by another competitor. That's a good ROI.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I remember being when I worked at Advara, there was the PE side of things. Like, you had to justify every single dollar you spent in ROI version, like in very explicit ROI. I was like, hey, this would be good. I feel like I know people are going to be there. I think this is going to be a good experience. Like, let's do this. This makes sense. It's a lot less tolerant of that like intuition as a ROI. Like, no, this makes sense. We should do this. It's like, okay, explain to me how you're going to return your money on this. And so if you have these big companies that are taking down, they're not going to send all of their employees to conferences unless there's a reason. They're speaking and they're going to get noticed, and that's going to be ROI because they're going to have X number of people on the people who are viewing their panel, right? Like it's very calculated. So that's why you're not going to see a lot of these folks, if that's what their purpose is the PE. If they're in a cool PE or a cool VC situation, then they will because they understand the value. But
that's a good point. The ROI of everything. Which we're entering that. We're in that era. We're entering that era at the site level now, which has never really happened, or other than the AMCs and maybe the SMOs in the early 2000s. But the site networks are ushering in that era of the ROI. Like, what's the ROI of having a generalist coordinator? I can't really come up with a good explanation other than I can train people to replace me and expand. But then how often are you actually going to do that? Well, not that often. Do you need all of them to be generalists? Well, no.
Yeah. I mean, so do you think there's like an inherent tension between independent sites and site networks?
Yes, man. You know those people trying to grift on our conference?
I know.
All right. They're literally that dichotomy. And there's some overlap. There's some people are going to stay for both.
Of course, yeah.
I found out they're not doing San Diego, by the way.
Yeah,
I found out
that.
Okay. But you know who they are, and it's not just them. There's a bunch. Like, there's certain people that don't come to SOS because they think that's beneath them. They are like, there's this whole thing about let's professionalize the sites. What the fuck? A patient is like, the reason sites exist is because study volunteers enroll there, right? So it's as professional as you need to resonate with those people and the people that service them. It's not to impress Eli Lilly. They don't give a fuck that you're wearing a tie.
Yeah. get patients in the door.
I hate those kind of people, man.
Yeah, and I think that is very and again, just getting ready to hit like a slew of conferences, Scope. I'll be at Scope next week, and it's a mixed bag, like of people who take themselves like way too seriously.
Yeah.
And generally, the further away from patient care they are, the more hilariously seriously they take themselves.
And then
'Cause
behind
again, I
closed
think
doors, they're the
think
least credible people you've ever had a one-on-one conversation
well,
with.
they haven't they on it most times haven't actually done the work like of
Yeah.
anyway. Again, you've got less skin in the game, but they care a whole lot more about how they present.
It's called dissonance when your internal values don't reflect your actions.
Well, they got to make money. They got to look good for their investors, and
Pony up to the big pharma. Yeah, so there's a whole contingency of people that think that of SOS. No memes, too many memes, too many hoodies, too many baseball hats.
right,
Like, does that even matter? Like, if my site, no one wears hoodies. The coordinators are professional. The doctors wear white lab coats. If
sure.
it makes you feel more comfortable. But like to represent the site, no, we have to represent it professionally and then unionize it and then go to Congress and lobby. Get the fuck out of here. That's not doing shit for patients. That's lining your pockets, so you can get a private jet and you can go watch Alabama on Saturday and not have to wait for Southwest.
Yeah, so again, that's where it gets interesting. Like how much of that. And again, I mean, obviously you've gone through this too as a site owner. Like I grew up very punk rock. I want to stay independent. I want to like run a site. I want to have fun with it.
Mhm.
I'll be dead in, let's give it 40 years.
50, man.
Okay, 50. Yeah. Let's go 50. Okay. I'm going to start jogging more regularly. We'll go for 50.
Less whiskey.
So like, have fun with it. Like, but yeah, it starts to feel, I don't know, it starts to feel gross a little bit after a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think going, in real estate, they said in SoCal, they say drive till you qualify. Like you just keep driving east until you can afford a mortgage. And I think for site owners that want to remain independent, you just keep going more and more rural until you're not competing with these stuffy people, and sponsors still see a value in that. And which they do. To Denali's point, the data for the in silica is only as good as the real world data we can get in the real world.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't know. I mean, I think I don't know, maybe I'm just being overly optimistic here, but I think in general, there's a drive for people to want to, like, majority for people to be more authentic and more honest and transparent. Like I talk to folks of all different walks of sites, right? So folks who are in networks and who are at AMCs, and obviously there are the folks who are a little bit more stuffy. But I think there's certainly there seems to be like even from like 10 years ago, a trend of folks like being more authentic, being just more like open and honest about where things are at, which I hope continues across the board. But I've seen a little bit more of it. At least maybe I'm just more obnoxious, so people are more comfortable telling me their thoughts. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, AMC is a kind of a different world. I understand that. And the ones that I'm criticizing are like other private networks that just try to act better than.
Yeah.
Like AMC's, you're gonna get fired if you act a certain way. Like I understand. And actually, like I don't want to turn this political, and I know the execution was horrible with Doge, but there was some truths in what they were trying to go after. It's kind of like this ambiguous thing we're talking about where there's a lot of like waste happening here. Now the response is not, in my opinion, to shut the whole thing off.
Well,
but
right.
That's easier than going through the nuanced motions of trying to figure out.
Actually understanding why is a problem, where the problem is. Yeah. I mean, I think also, I don't think there's very few people in those groups who would be like, yeah, this was perfect. Like everyone's kind of like, yeah, we could probably make some changes and make it better. But yeah, to your point, like maybe scalpel or like kitchen knife, not chainsaw.
Yeah, not chainsaw. Well, what did Dr. Oz? I was watching a podcast with Dr. Oz yesterday, and he said, Lilly and Novo when the Trump administration approached them about lowering their costs of their drugs compared to other countries. They said, "Yeah, we were waiting decades for you guys to approach, so we knew it was
Right.
we knew it was coming. We were just milking it as long as we could."
Well, yeah, of course. It's capitalism.
Yeah, and there's some elements of that at small sites too, but I think there's a lot less like waste, fraud, and abuse at smaller sites.
Well,
With
I
the
think to your
exception
point
of like those
earlier,
Miami
like
examples.
sure. I think to your point earlier, like again, like small independent sites can do well without having to like. You don't have to be unethical. You don't have to squeeze. You don't have to sacrifice whatever your ethics may be to make a buck, because the margins are okay if you're reasonable about it.
They're very forgiving still, and I don't expect that to change like anytime soon. But the writing is on the wall that they are trending towards more competitive pricings, and that's just what consolidation does.
Yeah, I would just like to see, and again, maybe I guess maybe you see this at a small scale like I do, but I'm curious like how much more successful, if at all, are site networks versus AMCs or independent sites. I see the newsletters of like who's leading enrollment on a trial by trial basis. So occasionally I'll catch like some, names I recognize in there, but it's not like I see them just killing it across the board in the studies that we share. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
and again, the great thing is like none of that's public. Probably will never be made public. It's very frowned upon to make it public because I've done it before and people got real mad. People got real mad about it. So like, there's no way to know. It's all extremely opaque as to whether like, are they killing it? Are they screwing up? Like, there's no way to really know.
well, I would bet they're doing okay, at least a decent job. At 24, the last investigator meeting I went to was in 2020, October 23. My bad. It was in Dallas, and half the sites, there were like 100 sites, half the sites were represented by 3 site networks.
Yeah.
Crazy. Insane. And you talk to the coordinators from those sites for the most part. I mean, nice people, but a little bit detached. Like you talk to a coordinator from a smaller site. Oh, yeah, and I do this and I do that.
Mhm.
You talk to one of these coordinators. Yeah, just, show up and I
Well,
see
I mean, look,
Alzheimer's patients.
I mean, more broadly though, like even in the world, I mean, how many people just want to go to their job and get their job done and go home? Like they don't care.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah.
watching. They're not watching
Yeah.
3 idiots babble on a podcast about the state of the industry. Like they
Right.
just want to go see patients and go home and
Yeah.
watch TV or whatever. And that's perfectly fine. But like, I guess I expect that more out of the general population than like somebody like, again, like we've dedicated more of our energy and lives to this than like 99% of people ever will.
Right.
It's not a good or a bad thing. It's just a different dynamic,
Yeah.
like altogether.
Well, and then the market rewards that, and you can
Yeah,
be
right.
sustainable and durable during technological shifts, and some people will be left behind because it's just a job, or even
Yeah.
worse, just a task. I
Yeah,
show up and
right.
do
Good point.
tasks. Okay, well, your days are numbered. I mean, you show up and do tasks. That's a good way to like remove yourself from the equation.
That's a good point. All right, we're over an hour. You got anything you want
Damn.
to close with?
No, I'm getting killed on biotech stocks, so that's probably why I'm
Yeah,
doom and gloom right now.
I just keep putting all my money in GameStop and go poor one day.
I looked at the 5-year chart of GameStop today. That thing's down like 20% in 5 years. It has
More
its
than
peaks.
that, I think.
It has its peaks, but then like you got to get out at certain times. I have it on my
Well,
list too. I have it.
bury my money in the ground. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, or just open another site, man.
Ugh.
Exactly. Becoming less fun.
I know. Well, there's like again, I think there's like I'm still figuring it out, but there's like there's like a line between like too big is too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's easy to like get carried away with like, oh, well, there's opportunity because there's still opportunities everywhere.
Well, when it gets too big, you're removing yourself more from it.
Mm-hmm.
So like now you're depending on others to replace you, and either you don't trust that, or they're maybe not the same ingredients, and it's just less control. It's like the Roman Empire. The reason they fell was they kept expanding till they couldn't control their outer reaches. And it's, I think, similar in business.
Yeah, that's probably true. But yeah, it can be a hard line to walk. I don't know why the comments weren't coming through. I looked on my phone and there are comments like on LinkedIn,
Wow.
but I don't know why
I
none
don't
of them
see
have.
shit on here.
No,
but
me
it's
neither.
okay.
StreamYard might be weird, but I know you're off StreamYard.
You gotta switch, man. They
might
got
get your
bought by a
recommendation.
private equity, Bending Spoons.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them. They also bought like
upgraded me with
Evernote and
permission.
somebody else, but
I'm gonna refer them to Denali. You guys need a consent for them to upgrade people automatically, and they have a good consent.
A little outside of the life sciences realm, but sure.
We'll take it. PBC, you're doing people a good.
There you go.
There is actually an official mission attached to that, not just like
that's just throwing it out for charity. Fair enough.
All right, we'll be back on Thursday. There is an SOS meetup in Raleigh on Saturday. I'll be there, weather permitting.
As a snowman.
That's right. And obviously there's still some tickets available for March, the big SOS event in San Diego. So go check that out.
And I found out there's rooms available still, but you got to go through your credit card company.
Okay. Well, there you go. Making it slightly complicated, but at least the hotel rooms are sold. So
yeah,
there you go.
Cool.
Rock and roll. All right, guys. We'll see you Thursday.
Catch you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Note to File. We're committed to continuing to bring you independent and unfiltered coverage of the clinical trial industry.
We want to talk about what you want to hear. So if you have something on your mind, hit us up at notetofilepodcast.com.